Welcome to Warehouse Automation Matters. I'm your host, Mary Hart, and I'm here with Dave Green, Executive Chairman of Peak Technologies, and Mike Wills, Chief Revenue Officer of Peak Technologies, to talk about the benefits of moving to warehouse automation and why 3PLs should choose a solution provider like Peak. Welcome to the show, Dave and Mike. I appreciate you being here.
Welcome, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. It's wonderful to be here.
Many companies hesitate to automate because they fear a long learning curve. How do AMRs and system integration overcome that concern?
Well, I think you'll see, and what we see on a regular basis, utilizing Locus. We see in a lot of automation scenarios, 90 days or so from a training standpoint and learning with the process. And what one of the things that Locus has done really well is on an each individual, your 15, 20 minutes for them just to take some time to spend so they understand the process. And then from a full solution with Locust, it could be just a few days rather than a couple of months to get the process down. But we see that an awful lot in the impact on new hires, especially uh, these distribution centers and 3PLs. It really helps to reduce the training time.
Dave, if I can pile into that, it's not only just the reduction of the training time, it's the reduction of the repetitive nature of it. And it's a one time and they're up and running. Um, and the fixes in essence are in place. The replacement of any ongoing need is absolutely gone. And, taking that 90 days, and I was going to say, Dave, it's probably longer than that. In most natural circles that we see, the learning curve is frequently longer than that, well outside of a quarter, and collapsing it down inside of a week is a dramatic difference to a lot of our clients.
So, can you share how consistency in robot performance that moves at the same pace every time translates into higher accuracy and predictable throughput for a warehouse?
Yeah, and I think from that standpoint and the consistency, as Mike kind of touched base on that, is with the way the moves are and the way the warehouse management directs the robots to certain picks in certain areas based on where the product is, the process flows. Your pick rates can go from mid 50s to up to 150 lines per hour, which is, when you talk about a three times increase in the business, that creates a whole lot of productivity uptick and performance for the robots.
Dave, Dave mentioned a really key thing there, Mary, which was consistency. Run a highly efficient operation, especially a warehouse. Consistency is everything. So if you start with that as the bedrock and build out from there, 3x kind of performance return to the ROI model is stellar.
I agree. So, you talked about the timeline being reduced greatly for training. What kind of ROI timelines are realistic for a warehouse that's considering a move to automation?
When we've seen some of our different facilities that we've put the product into and working with Locus, it's been as short as a 6 week ROI, that being a pretty incredible number. I think 6 weeks to a few months is what we're seeing on a regular basis utilizing the robotic side of things. And when you look at the way we go about it and the way the partnership works with Locus and optimizing the different teams, we'll continue to go in and look at the picks and how and the rate of pick that the end user is utilizing. And what we do at that point in time is on a quarterly basis, we do reviews, and with those reviews show different ways for them to skew locations, change this because this skew location is being picked many more times than the others, and we just help to and become continually a partner in this relationship and optimizing their business.
The other thing that I would add to this is it's all relevant. And I'm reminding, I guess, our listeners to this, it's all relevant to what the as is condition of your starting state in terms of the ROI. Dave pointed out we've seen ROIs as short as a couple of weeks, certainly nothing longer in highly productive, highly accurate environments, even well inside of a year. But it all comes back to what's the current condition state of the operation and adherence to KPIs within that operation as your starting point as it relates to how fast are you going to recover your.
So, beyond ROI, what are the softer benefits you see from automation, such as employee satisfaction or better process visibility?
Well, and it's funny you talk about some of the softer benefits when you look at turnover with employees and pushing around the heavy parts and walking around approximately 80% less, reducing the stress on their bodies, those types of things. Anytime you're optimizing what the user is seeing and feeling, just increases opportunities. And then when they go and they do 100 picks, 150 picks per hour, by the end of the day, they get pretty tired. And you start to see some of those numbers start to fall off. With the process that gets put into place with the robotics, the reason we're seeing some of the increases and I continue to stay there is because of the stress off the body. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help the customer.
100%. I'm just smiling, Mary, at the question of the concept of soft costs versus hard costs or tangible costs, right? We have these conversations all the time with CFOs as we're trying to justify the implementation of these projects. But the truth is you have to hit both. And often what Dave and I have seen in implementations, and we've all seen through our careers, is yes, you'll clear the bar on the hard costs that justify the capital allocation and the rollout. But it's often the softer benefits that become way more tangible and way more important to the operators for all the reasons that Dave outlined. Adoption rates are often very, very quick, and they stay at an incredible high level because of just the very tangible benefits that these operators get when they see it visibly show up on the KPI scorecards. They see it show up in fatigue factors and adoption factors and training factors with all the team members on the floor. So soft costs can often be more valuable to the operator than just clearing the bar on the hard costs.
So you talked a little bit about the soft costs as well as the soft benefits. We hear a lot about rising labor costs, but we know that even cheaper temp labor can be costly in other ways. What are those hidden costs that the managers and supervisors and executives have to deal with?
Well, again, we start talking the employees and what it costs to train somebody, and then what it costs to train somebody over and over and over again. And when you start looking at, you know, minimum of $1,200 to just train an employee for a short period of time to learn a process, and that employee, when talking about turnovers, in the 60 percentile, sometimes in some of these 3PLs and distribution centers, we can get these new employees trained and up and operating in a day or two, rather than having to. We talked about 90 days earlier and some of the time frame that takes it. These are employees that are coming in, have not worked with these robots, and when you start looking at the scanning and the visibility and making sure they're picking the right product, there's a lot of things that can be done in a short order in a matter of days rather than a month or two. So they're up to speed right away.
Well said, Dave. I also think there's a factor, and we'll probably get to this topic about flex labor and flex seasonal help, et cetera. So this is also another area that robotic solutions can also have a big benefit.
So, how does automation help offset not just the direct wages, but the costs of inaccuracies, rework, and slower throughput that you have to deal with?
Labor is always the question, and labor is probably the biggest part of the ROI that comes into play, other than increasing the footprint and throughput with the staff's unnecessary walking. You're looking at reduction in time that the employees are spending in the picking process and being able to allocate them into other places within the organization. And when you start looking at 50% less staff that needs to be in the picking space, the accuracies, get up to, 99 to 100%. I hate to say 100% because then everybody's going to expect that, right? But, when we start looking at, how the employees, can get things done and, hiring them and putting them in a place sets them up for success, and the wages and some of those different things, it really becomes a great part of the process.
Nobody likes to admit to 100%, Dave. I agree, but four nines is not bad. Mary, to the point of the other costs, the cost of an error, a mistake, it is both tangible and calculable in terms of what are the ramifications, including non-compliant shipments, et cetera, that are going to come back at me that I'm going to owe my downstream customers. But it's also just the hit to customer satisfaction issues and the loss of confidence that can instill in your customer base. All of those things kind of roll up to constantly driving for a very high rate. I won't say 100%, Dave, but you can strive for 4 nines, 4.5 even, in terms of fill rates and accuracy in that regard. And robotic automation solutions certainly lean in that direction heavily.
So, in your experience, how quickly do customers see the labor efficiency gains once robots are deployed?
Right.
Well, as we talk about, related to efficiency gains and ROI kind of all play into each other. It's a matter of weeks, and not months. And what we've seen is when you start looking at the labor efficiencies, there's a couple of steps that go into it, from the training and understanding, and then trusting. When you start looking at a new employee, you don't really trust that employee until you worked with them a little while. A robot's no different. When they take a little time and they trust that robot and give it the opportunity to show them how it can be more effective and more efficient, and then some of the intelligence that goes along with the deployment of the robotics, with the dashboards and being able to see the efficiencies and plan for success from the management standpoint, it really helps to drive the product home and see what it's gonna do for them.
The only thing I would add, and we did cover it a little bit earlier, my comments about it's all relevant to the starting point, right? Your as is state, your condition state that you deploy these in. The savings, especially in labor specific savings that your question was addressing, can be nearly immediate. I mean, measured in days. We'll often see an immediate spike in improvement in labor savings and then a short plateau, and then you'll see a second leg to it. And so, to the measurement time frame that Dave's talking about over a period of several months, I think you see that same kind of pattern emerge every time.
So, are there ways that automation can complement the temporary labor rather than replacing it entirely?
Well, and that's something that we, again, in a majority of our customer base, is that, Black Fridays, back to school, some of those types of opportunities where their business can, in some cases, jump to 300%. Uh, that being said, and then they've got SLAs to meet and all of those types of things. So some of the things that we're doing with our customers is providing surge bots or seasonal and peak bots from a picking standpoint. Being able to do that, bringing in robotics for an extra, you know, 2 to 3 months to get them through that surge time, that really gives them an opportunity to succeed in delivering their SLAs and that increase without having to hire and train a whole group of people. It really makes things a lot faster.
Consistency is one of the keys to running a very efficient, lean operation, highly productive, maximizing your KPI numbers. And seasonal bot deployment is one of these things that we see rising just simply because it delivers a very consistent level of labor to offset those spikes in needs and requirements. And it's a consistency that operators can lean into and plan around.
Thank you. So, for a 3PL who's considering automation, what's the advantage of working through a solution provider like Peak instead of going directly to a hardware or software vendor?
Well, I think other than getting to work with guys like Mike and I, that which would be wonderful. I think that the business itself, when Pete comes in and gets involved in the opportunity and the solution for the end user, one of the things that we really do is we look at things from a holistic standpoint, whether it's just robotics, AIDC, RFID, Envision, from a solution presentation, is going to look at this business holistically and not just robots or just RFID or just AIDC equipment or just printing. We do a lot of different things that help the customer figure out how they're going to look at the whole picture. And that's why you utilize someone like us.
Well said, Dave. Peak at its very DNA is a solution integrator. And by that, our starting point is always understanding the total comprehensive operation and really assessing and understanding the need that's in place. After that point in time, we bring together best of breed solutions. And many times they consist of point product solutions. But the extra step is integrating it into the existing customer operation and therefore extracting all the potential optimization that is there, often left on the side of the road or on the table because they choose not to optimize and they just implement a point product in and they put it on the back of the client to harmonize it all, which is a mistake. That's one of the big components of our value proposition that we bring to the table.
So, how do you help a 3PL look beyond just installing robots to designing an automation strategy that supports their clients' needs long term?
I think that, when it comes into that space of looking and driving costs down, driving the efficiencies and optimization inside their organization, which again, going back to the solution provider mentality, we really take an awful lot of time and spend a lot of time looking at the solutions that we've put in and installed into their business and giving them an opportunity to look at how to optimize those and make sure that it's not just a robot win, but a win for the customer in making sure that they're gaining their SLAs and efficiencies that they're looking for to grow their business.
Mary, 3PLs operate in a specialized high pressure environment. Their whole premise and message to their clients is we can do it better than you can do it internally. And they'll often secure 1 to maybe out to 3-year type of contracts to do these fulfillments at a fixed certain rate. So everything beyond that goes straight to their bottom line and profitability improvement. So one of the things that we mentioned before is understanding where those areas of improvement could be to unlock not only just downstream efficiency gains for them, but also for their clients. That helps the repeat rate on those contract renewals the next time around.
So, Dave and Mike, what pitfalls have you seen when 3PLs try to piece together solutions themselves?
Well, I think the first and foremost, Mike talked a little bit earlier about harmonizing. When you take all of the different systems that get installed into a PL and making sure that they're harmonized, that they're all together and they're working in conjunction with each other to get the efficiencies that they're looking for is not an easy task. And these systems continue to be extremely difficult and more intelligent. You start talking about some of the different AI things that are out there. Utilizing a company like Peak will give them the ability to stabilize that and get the subject matter experts in those different areas to be able to all talk the same language and get things done and put together. So things are working well, not only with just the each picking and some of the bulk moves and some of those things. A lot of that can get overwhelming, and our job is to make that an easy transition for the 3PL.
You know, Dave, you used a key term, subject matter experts. Our core competency is seeing the big picture and seeing where there are points of friction within the entire process under operation. And going back to the SME or the subject matter expert point, often those blocks or barriers inside of a customer's organization that everybody knows about, but nobody either has the internal courage to take it on and remove it. It's interesting what happens when you bring automation experts like Peak to the table and we view the entire end-to-end operation and point out those same friction points. Often we're given license to attack those on their behalf that they just chose in the past never to take on. And when we do that, we're able to wring out those optimization gains through the integration of entire portfolio of technology, whereas they likely would have never extracted it in the past.
So, from your perspective, what makes the Peak and Locus partnership different from simply buying robots or software from a single vendor?
Well, I think bringing us together into a solution really helps the automation piece because Peak's expertise, ability to be able to utilize the different solutions inside of that 3PL at this point in time, and then bringing Locus in and finding the right fit where it fits inside that customer and how to optimize what they're already doing with the Locus product rather than the Locus product just bringing in to do what Locus does. We can utilize the whole organization and put it into one piece, which again continues to, it's a pretty overwhelming task when you start looking from an operational standpoint, all the different things that you can do.
Well, and as we've mentioned already in the past, we each bring a special expertise to the table. Our background and our DNA is a solution integrator, and we bring best of breed solutions, which we view Locus as being best of breed in their particular portfolio offering. Designed for use and designed for application is a very important thing for us as we go through our selection criteria of what partners we want to take to market with us. And Locus certainly represents that, combined with our subject matter expertise and a deep understanding of just warehouse operations in general, and to be able to identify and spot those friction points and address them and unlock those optimization areas are key in this partnership with Locus.
So, what kind of challenges do customers bring to you that are best solved when both Peak and Locus are involved from the start?
That's a good one because the challenges they bring to us a lot of times vary because each individual organization has they've got this little piece that they need to fix over here, but fix this and this before you get to that. So from our standpoint and what we can do to help them deliver that full benefit of all of their automation pieces that they put together, it really utilizing both of us because Locus will have a lot of the management tools and a lot of the intelligence that will come out of their system that will feed us to give us more information to be able to optimize where stuff is positioned, changing the product around, those types of things that we can share with the customer.
Unique is a great lead word as you used, and immediately I had a mental image of a snowflake. I don't think, Dave, in all of our implementations, we've had the same implementation in the same environment, addressing the same set of business challenges or problems within a customer environment yet. That being said, they're close enough where we can lean into and leverage past experience and address them in similar, if not identical ways. But to your point, Mary, with the leading question, every customer operation has its own unique challenges. And the good news is with our depth of experience and our sharing of knowledge internally within all of our experts globally, as well as the team from Locus, we generally can bring a solution to bear to the table that really resonates inside that customer's operation.
If you had to give a 3PL one piece of advice before starting their automation journey, what would it be, besides choosing Peak and Locus, of course?
Well, I think that you talk about in their vision and in their journey, some of the flexibility to be able to look outside the square box that's been put into the PPL for so many years. And then once they do look outside and are willing to look outside that box a little bit, look at what proven performance has done for us. We've continued to perform and continue to help with results inside of our business units, inside our customers, and being able to look outside that box a little bit and understand that productivity is at X. And if we can take it to Y, what would that really look like for you and your business? And what will that create for you and your business?
My thought on their question, Mary, is twofold. Communicate frequently, often upfront. Every question or thought or notion that crosses your brain, let it fly out your mouth. Let's get it documented. Let's really understand each other's starting point, right? So mistakes that we can identify or miscommunication that we can identify, misunderstanding up front is far easier to resolve than 3 months into a project. So that's the whole point about communication. The other piece kind of relates to that, which is in some of our best of class kind of implementations and operators, I've seen somebody assigned as a customer champion from the customer side, a badged individual who is the advocate of that technology and that process on the floor. And they become effectively a mouthpiece back to us to tell us how it's going. We share ideas ongoing to continue to extract benefits and optimizations downstream.
Thank you. And thank you to Dave and Mike for joining me on the podcast today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you to our listeners. As always, we're here to help you move what matters in your warehouse with unmatched flexibility and unlimited throughput.